morning, folks, and welcome to another great edition of Money Truth Moments with our very own Money Truth expert and whisper, Judy Copenbarger. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, Carlos. Good to see you. Happy Tuesday. So excited about this topic. It is one that really sneaks up on you. So this is going to be great. How are you?
Absolutely, folks. If you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. Make sure you are following Judy at judycopenbarger.today, where you can find a lot of great content, video resources. You can sign up for our podcast as well, too. But because I know we always run out of time on great subjects, today, folks, we are talking about the spending habits that quietly drain your cash. So small spending habits often cause, usually the biggest financial stress. So in this episode, we're going to explore how subscriptions creep up, lifestyle inflation, and emotional spending patterns quietly erode cash flow over time, and what simple awareness strategies can restore control. So what do you say we get started, Judy?
Let's do it. These are sneaky little critters. Let's get to it.
That's right. All right, Judy. So most people think financial problems come from big purchases, right? So why are small repetitive habits often really the real issue?
Yeah, it's the silent leak. It's when you open up the wall and you find out something bad's been happening in there just a little bit for a long time. Whether it was a rodent or a leak or something, it's those silent long-term little steady dripping. It's the unnoticed auto drafts. It's a subscription to something that you really haven't even looked at in months, maybe years, but it's still there. And it's only $8 or $10 or $25, but all those little guys can add up. So it can happen. Speaking to the choir here.
Yeah, same here. For sure.
Subscriptions. I think I might have some of those computery things. I need to go back and look, but they do sneak up on you.
And you know what's funny? It's also the fact too that I was actually taking a look at some of this because I normally for subscriptions, like for the NFL package, you just use it for that, and then you're supposed to turn it off after you're done with that, but you forget. And like you said, just these little things that all of a sudden you're looking at your statements, it's like, oh, I should have canceled it like a couple months ago, but you don't pay attention to it. So
and they know that. That's the thing. The marketers know that. And they know that they can make it just one or two steps more difficult than it needs to be. You're not going to do it. You're just going to say, forget it. It's not worth the hassle. And that, in my personal experience, that's it. It's the hassle. I've got probably subscriptions. You can probably help me with this. Subscriptions on computers that I haven't used in years, I'm sure. And maybe on even old cell phones or, things like that. It's just every year renew. And it's like, I don't even know how to know what computer it's attached to. So you just renew it because you don't want to not be without software, right, or protection. So that's something I really need to get to.
And the other thing that they get you in is when the moment you say you're going to quit or you're going to unsubscribe to the platform, they give you the big
get a better deal.
Yeah, get a better deal, 50% off if you stick with us.
A set of Ginsu knives. Don't go. We really need you. We love you.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about challenging the assumption. Why do people underestimate small monthly expenses?
Oh, because they're small. It's only $5. It's only $8. It's only $10. What's that going to do? Kind of normalizes that whole thing. And it's invisible. You don't even notice. You don't see it when it comes out of your checking account, like when the house bill comes out, or you fill up your tank at the gas station or something. Those you see, or the grocery store bill. $200, $300, $400 a pop. But these little ones, they just kind of happen, and you just kind of, gloss over them. They don't even show up when you're looking at the right column of the dollars. If it's one or two, you don't even look at it, right? It's just, you're looking at the 4-digit numbers and the 5-digit numbers, some of the 3-digit numbers that start with a big number, right? But you don't even look at the little ones. They just kind of pass on by.
So, as we're also talking about real life experiences, what do you see happen when lifestyle inflation quietly just increases alongside your income?
Oh, alongside your income. Well, that's the trick. So your income goes up, your lifestyle goes up. And so those little $5 and $10 things that you really used to be in tune to, or the $50 things, now it's like, oh, that's no big deal because I make more money. But I just want to, maybe you're going to ask this in a minute, but it's those little things, just like your income can creep up and you don't even know it. And pretty soon you're making more than you used to pay in taxes. That happens. But these expenses also can do that. The expenses can creep up. It was $2 and $5. Now they raised it to $12, $15. And it's so subtle you don't notice because your income's also increasing. But I think it's wise to notice and take note of all those little things, even though they're little, because all the little things totally do add up.
What would you say, like in your experience that you've seen as you're going through a financial review for clients, right? Whether it's younger clients, because even our seasoned generation are guilty of this too. Granted, they're not as they don't have anybody really have that second pair of eyes to look at their statements or things like that too. But what would you say is maybe one or two stories that have actually stood out for you that you've been able to really like open people's eyes, and all of a sudden they're like, "Whoa, I didn't know that."
Well, a couple of things. One, it had more to do with debt. That it's this gal that's probably about 38 now. We started working when she was maybe 33, working together. She came into a little bit of money, but for her, it was all of the fees on her credit cards. She had like 17 credit cards. It's like, what are you doing? So each one had the fees on it. And so we were able to get rid of that. So it was a little different than the recurring fee, but it was a repetitive fee. It was a duplicative fee. Let's see, top of my mind, it's usually the soccer dads, guys like you that have the sports things on TV. They want to see this movie channel, or they want to see this fight, or they want to see this game. And they make it, I think it's been in the news the last week. I just saw a little something on it where the NFL and the NBA, they have different channels that they subscribe different games to. So it's not all in one place. Like it used to be, you turned on the local sports, you see it. You see the big game. And so you end up, I want to see that fight or that game or that series or whatever it is. And so you subscribe to it, but then you don't really use it after that. You think you will, but you don't. And so you end up having 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 12, 15, 18, 20 of these guys. And they're all only, $8 to $20. Some of them I know are higher, but you add all those up, it could be hundreds of dollars or more a month. And maybe you're not using them all. And so it's probably not a bad idea to take the time. And again, it's the hassle factor and the time, and that's me. It's like, it's not the top of my list to do because they're all little, right? But just to go through and say, well, what exactly do I have? And how should I be dealing with that? What do I really need to keep or want to keep?
Yeah, and I think that's also really important, especially folks, if you are watching, you have older parents, that you really need to take a look at that too, because I think a lot of them just, they just get their check, pay their bills, and I'm pretty sure most of them don't look at, the itemized statement or any of that as well too.
Yeah, I've got a few clients that do. They're up there in their 80s and 90s. They look at every little thing. That's what we were taught to do, right? Balance your checkbook, check all the things, even check the banking fees. I don't know when I last did that, honestly. I really don't. I just hope they're accurate, electronic and accurate. But I've had a few clients that really redline everything. They look at everything. They know every little thing that goes out. Most of them, though, don't. And anyone that's under 50, they just never had that habit of looking at everything every month and like chewing it up. So it's just like, I assume kind of like I am now. It's like, I just don't want to take the time, choose not to take the time. I just hope it's accurate. But I know I could be more diligent and go back and go through those things. I know I'll find things. Hopefully not a lot, but I know I'll find some things. Yeah.
But I think part of that, what contributes to that too, is the everyday, you're busy. And so when you're going through this and just paying the bill, move on. That's one less thing I have to worry about or whatever. I think that's part of I tend to do that, sometimes. And I think it's been a habit the last year. I've gotten better at going through the, itemize for that same reason. So it's good to definitely keep your eyes open for sure.
Absolutely.
Let me switch gears a little bit, just for a little simple education for all of us, right? How would you explain the long-term impact of these small financial leaks?
Well, those small leaks, they all add up. It's just like, if you have little bits of savings, and you take those and you turn them into little bits of investment over time, time is your friend. And they add up in a really great way. The opposite is true. If you have a little tiny leak, it will get bigger and bigger. And when it rains and you have a little leaky spot in the roof and you put your bucket out, at first it's just a couple of drips. Well, if you leave it there and it keeps raining, a little bit more, it adds up, and pretty soon your bucket is full. So it goes both ways. The draining of the money, the expenses of the money, the unnecessary recurring costs of whatever it is that you've subscribed to or that you have on there, it's going to drain slowly but surely, just like the income will go up and the investments will increase. So you want to watch them.
And that's, we talk about in every show. We talk about that shift in mentality, right? The shift in thinking. So, what simple awareness practice can someone start this week just to regain that control over their cash flow?
Yeah, write it down. Pen and paper works for me. A spreadsheet, if you have that much going on. For most people, just a yellow pad and a pen will work. You could also just grab a statement or the statements. You probably have several credit accounts or several bank accounts. Not most people don't have just one. And just go through with, a red pen or a marker. I just put a star by them or a check by them and just go, let's ask about this one and this one and this one and this one and this one. And, just start the process of awareness and, just bringing it back into your world and focusing on it. You can't change what you don't, agree to or acknowledge or focus on at some point. And so once you do that, then you can start the process of making a difference if there's a difference to be made there.
Talk a little bit about, and I think this is another area where folks don't really pay attention when we're talking about credit cards, those fees, right? A lot of them, there's some will charge you 18% on that. There's some that charge you even as much as
29.
35%. Yeah, 29. I've seen 35.
0.99.
So, and I don't think people really pay attention to that. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, the average credit cards is going to be, 16 to 18%. That's per year. And they're designed for you not to pay them off in the first year. So that means you're going to double, triple, quadruple, or more that amount of money. It's crazy. So the average credit card will end up with you spending more than twice what the object was. So if you buy a $100, jacket or something, it's going to cost you more than $200 by the time you pay it off. And that's even loss, not counting the loss of the time, the opportunity cost of it. It's just crazy. So why would you, it's like, is that jacket worth $250? The $100 jacket that I'm about to buy? No. What if I save my money for a few months and then I go get the jacket, right? I mean, in a pinch, credit cards are great to have. That's what they're supposed to be for. Emergency, and then refill it right away. But most people use them for convenience. Younger people, they're marketed heavily. Well, we all are marketed heavily. I get stuff almost every day in my inbox. But young people, they just kind of like, oh, I'll pay it later. And I just want to tell them, is it worth spending twice? If you just kind of keep that in your head, is it worth spending twice? Now, it's different if you use a credit card for convenience or for the points or the travel or something. And every month you pay it off, so you're never paying any interest. That's different. That is convenience, and there's an advantage. But most credit cards offer those things because they know not everybody will be able to do that. And they'll end up making a whole lot more money than the value that you're receiving as a whole group. So you want to be a deadbeat. That's what credit card companies call you. If you pay your bills on time and they never make any interest off you, it's like, that's a deadbeat. So you want to be a deadbeat. This is a good time to be one.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you explained that, because we did not pay attention to that. And when, like you said, all of a sudden it just creeps up and you're like double already what it costs, paying this off as well too. So
crazy.
I definitely wanted to touch on that. So let's take a quick moment right now, and I'm gonna ask you regarding really emotional triggers. So what emotional triggers most often really drive repetitive spending?
I would say stress is one of them. When you're stressed, and I'm in a pretty bottleneck area emotionally in my life right now, just with family care, taking care of my mom, health issues, things like that. I think stress can do it. It's kind of like some people eat, some people gamble, some people, act out, whatever. But it can also show up in your spending and in your financial world. Comparing. Some people, you look at the yard of the next door neighbor and it's like, oh, I want to have a nice yard. And so you use credit to put in a nice yard or something, or get the nicer car or live in the nicer zip code. Comparing, I think, can do that. For some people, it might be just they need companionship, or they're bored. A lot of young moms, they just want to escape to the mall. Like, that's their happy place. It was never mine. That's their happy place, and they just want to go get something that smells good, or something that looks good, or makes them feel pretty, or just, talk to the vendors who are going to be nice to you because they're selling, right? They're on the other side of the transaction. Maybe they're lonely. Maybe they're, just bored, and they're just wanting to go do something. And why not bring something home from the mall? Why not spend money? So all those things. Some people, it's about the game. You get on some of these websites and you bid up. You're going to buy something, but you bid for it. Sometimes it's about the game, and that's that competitive thing. And I'm going to win the game, and I'm going to beat the other person. And I got the thing. Yay! I got. Why do I have this thing? I didn't want this thing, but I was in a bidding war, right? And so you end up with this K word or C word, or however you want to spell that word. But you end up with all this stuff you didn't even want, but you kind of got into that. So if there's all these emotional triggers that can do things to our financial world. So it's just a good thing to be aware of that. Am I making this decision based on sound financial, wisdom for me? Or am I responding to something that's going on in my life that, probably needs some attention? It's good to look at.
Yeah, that's a great point. Folks, thanks for joining us today. If you haven't followed Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.today. We are at the tail end of the show, and for most of you listeners and the new ones coming in, this means it's time for it is our Money Truth Challenge, and it's got to be a good one. I just know it.
Here's your challenge. Well, it probably should be obvious. We're talking about these recurring expenses that just keep happening that we haven't looked at. I think we ought to look at them. So your challenge is to get out pen and paper, or get out that red pen or marker pen, or whatever you like, the purple pen. I don't really care. But get out something that is going to be where you have a written document at the end, and go through and write down every recurring expense that you have. And you can see it, right? It says automatic or ACH, or, just automatically gets sucked out. And then ask one question. Look at the list and ask one question. Is this still serving my financial goals? Is this still something I want, something I need, something that adds to my life? Is it still a priority? Maybe it adds to your life, but it's not a priority in light of the other financial goals that you have. And so ask yourself, that question: does this need to be here? Do I want to keep this here? It's going to be valuable, I think, and I'm looking forward to doing this, just seeing the list. How much do I actually spend in things that just keep coming back? And I know it's going to be a little work, because some of them are not monthly, some of them are annually. So I'm going to have to go through and see and for me, it's going to be software and computer things, and because we have so many of those in my world. And what can I really get rid of, and what have I really kind of wasted money on in a little bit? But ask yourself that question after looking at that list. I think you'll find it to be a valuable experience.
Excellent, folks. You heard the challenge. Please also make sure you are following Judy at judycopenbarger.today. Hey, share with us if you want to hear other topics as well, too. As we are starting off 2026 very, very productive with a lot of additional wisdom. So, Judy, any last parting words?
Make it a great week. Every day counts.
All right, folks. Until next week, we're going to look at tax season stress and really what it's all about, and why often more emotional than financial. So stick around, share the episode, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Have a great week.